Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have back with us Randy Hux, who's the founder and president of Hux Capital Management, and we'll be talking about securing financial future through holistic planning. Randy, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me, man. I always look forward to our calls and our podcast. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times there's buzzwords out there like, oh, holistic, we take a holistic approach. Define what that actually is. I think that too many times people just hear something and it just goes in one ear and out the other. But what does your firm define a holistic planning approach for financial security?
Yeah, it's not a buzzword for us. It truly is holistic from the standpoint that we try to touch on every single aspect of a person's estate. And believe it or not, no matter how much money you have an estate. And I think people think that estate planning, that family offices, that all these terms that they're like, I'm not big enough for that. They'd be surprised to find out that they're more than qualified for that. That what really essentially what we've done is we've gone and taken their whole estate plan, and which is what includes the legal framework, the CPA framework, the wills, the trust, any of the other investments and things that we need to do within all that to make their accounts grow, protect them, insurance needs, whatever it might be. We handle every single issue. Medicare, we help with Medicare, and multiple other things, IRMA, all that good stuff. If you have RMDs, if you don't know what RMDs are, fine, you're going to learn about them. I'll teach you about them. But we love teaching, and we love the fact that we do have a family office, and the fact that, what is a family office? Family offices typically, Mike, they require a lot, like $10-20 million of assets, investable assets, and so forth. And essentially what I've learned in 20 years of being in this industry is that, wow, I can actually take what those guys do, and they've excluded all the people that don't have 20 million or 10 to $20 million. They've excluded them, which is the majority of the population out there. And I've said, well, I'd be more than glad to help you, because we know exactly how to plan for a 2, 3, 5 million, 8 million, $10 million account. And we can do it right for the guy that has $500,000. If he wants to bring an account in, we can do it for that level. But family office really just means, can you do everything that's required? Do you work with the client's CPAs? How closely are you willing to work with them? What about their estate planning attorney? Do you work with them? We do it all the time. We've had clients that have sold their business, and we've sat in our conference room. There's been 7 or 8 of us, attorneys, CPAs, and we're going through every fine-tooth detail of their sales agreement, whatever it might be. And we're there as a team, and we're there to support one person, and that is that family that we're talking to. So we can do this here locally. We can do it, on Zoom calls. We're willing to work with people in any capacity that they're comfortable with, even using their own professionals. We have our own that we like to use, but if they have theirs, we're willing to work with them.
It just kind of makes me think about, guys love analogies. So I'm thinking of the game chess. And when you make your move and you keep your finger on the piece and you look around to go, okay, is this the right move? And no, I need to pull it back. Or is this the right? Yep, that's the right move. Take your finger off. Well, in this situation with, for example, you mentioned RMDs. Required minimum distributions. If you make a move or don't make a move the right way, that could topple like dominoes a lot of areas. It could trigger taxes and penalties and pull money out of all of these places. So being able to see the whole field or see the whole game board, that's essential. And isn't that one of the key points of making sure you've kind of got the head coach and making sure that all of the key pieces are in there that are playing nicely together?
Yes, absolutely. You bring us some really good points there. If you miss your RMD, you're punitively penalized by the IRS.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, that is every citizen's responsibility to make sure that those RMDs are taken care of. But we take all that off of you, because we take 100% responsibility for all of our clients' RMDs. And here's the challenge for us, right? Some clients just want to give us a portion of their assets and then let somebody else manage another portion. They want to see who wins. They want to see which horse wins. And I tell them all the time, that's fine. I understand your philosophy. But the challenge for us is we don't know what your other guy is doing, and we don't want to be duplicative in our
Yeah.
investments. We don't want
Yeah.
you to double up. So what we would like to do is earn your business, demonstrate to you that we are the most competent people out there and that we're the best to work with. And that takes time, right? That takes time to do that. And we have probably about 10 different clients right now that we're working on doing that and converting their accounts, but they're seeing the differences now. And so, we're very proud of the fact that we can go through some of the nuances of the RMDs,
Yeah.
save them from all of the penalties that could possibly be there, or even IRMA, right? I mean, if you go over certain thresholds in IRMA, it gets costly. And so we
Yeah.
want to make sure that our clients are never, ever surprised, because I don't like
You take
surprises,
a penalty
especially.
or two in an area, and that wipes out all kinds of gains from the other side of the equation. So I think that's having that watchdog approach. And here's something else that makes me think of. I'm sure that Randy Hux knows about legal things, tax things, insurance, and all, but you're not the one to know it inside and out and make those recommendations. That's why that team comes in. You got to have your tax specialist, your legal specialist, and then you're the kind of the coach or the quarterback, making sure that all of those things connect up. So talk a little bit about being the specialist versus the generalist.
Well, I can just tell you, I can't know everything, right? I don't have time. I don't have the resources. I am not an attorney. I'm not going to play one. I'm a former CPA. I don't even do CPA work anymore, but I understand it well enough to be able to speak to the tax issues.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that, certainly, it's a very complex. Those are some complex issues that need to be well attended to in terms of, tax structures, in terms of making sure estate planning is done properly. So there's a lot of things there that certainly need to be attended to, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And you just rely on the team. It also makes me think you made a comment and the word to and through came to my mind. Sometimes people just have the goal of making it to retirement. And I got there at whatever age and I claimed my Social Security at the right way, but actually making it to and through retirement is critical. So how do you help your clients transition from building that wealth, growing it, climbing the mountain of getting that portfolio so that you're ready into kind of like now decumulation or retirement mode? Because it is a shift, right? It's that transition.
It is one of the most interesting things, not just financially. It is one of the most interesting things that I've learned since I've been in this industry about helping people retire. Some people are really effectively retired and they don't even know it until I talk with them. I go, well, with your income requirements that you need, you have the assets to retire today. Were you aware of that? And they're like, no, I didn't. And
Mhm.
so, it's the most interesting thing, because when you're able to, tell someone and able to say, hey, you can retire comfortably, and here's what it looks like, and here's how it works. We're going to keep it really simple for you. A lot of people want to use financial jargon and all that. We want to keep it really simple for you. But it's interesting because, case in point, had some clients come in. The guy had retired. He was used to a pretty big paycheck. I think he probably made $400,000 or $500,000 a year. His wife is a house lady and takes care of their kids and all that, and has done that their whole life. They're in their 70s. He built his own business. He walked away from it and sold it and all that good stuff. And he had this big old nest egg, right? And we had already been working with him. But it was so interesting because they came in, they sat in front of me, and their eyes were so big. These people have millions of dollars, right? And they look at me and they go, she says, Randy, I've been getting $20,000 a month, and I don't know how you're going to do it, but I need my $20,000 a month. And I laughed because she was getting the 20,000 from her husband's salary, right? From his own business. And I said, well, what do you need, sir? And he said, well, I just need 5 grand a month. I said, well, isn't that funny? So I said, look, you guys don't have to worry about that. I'm going to make sure that you get your $25,000 a month. and we set them up on a plan that's all guaranteed, and they're able to
Hmm.
do that. But it's very interesting because they were nervous
Yeah.
about not
Right.
receiving a paycheck. And
Yeah.
I said, and relax. I'm going to make sure that you get a paycheck. Well, how do you do that? And when I shared the different strategies for us to do that, there was such a sense of relief in this room. And I haven't
Yeah.
heard from them since, and that's been 7, 8 months ago. I mean, we've talked to them, but I've never heard anything like, I need more money, or, this is not
Right.
working out where I,
Right. Right.
it's
Yeah. Well,
really been
if
great.
something didn't work out, you'd have heard from them for sure.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
definitely.
no news is good news
Yes,
for sure.
yes, yeah,
Well, you didn't say this word, but you've indicated that you're a recovering CPA, right? You've got the tax
yeah.
background, but you're not really doing it. But you also advise your clients to make sure you're prepared for taxes. What are some of the ways, from a broad perspective, without getting into specifics, that you help your clients minimize taxes in retirement? Because you can't eliminate it, but you can help address or minimize it, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways, and you're right. It's going to take more than a 20-minute, 30-minute podcast, right? We're in the process right now. We have a program that we built out. Me and some colleagues of mine have built out that is specifically for taxes and estate planning purposes, and that they dive into all the different ways to mitigate, eliminate, or even reduce taxes to zero in some cases. So we're really, really excited about rolling this thing out. We're going to roll it out sometime in March. But in the meantime, some of the things that we do are Roth conversions. Some other things that we do are we just make sure that, if we put money to work in a certain area like guaranteed income, and we know that they're going to have an RMD, we want to make sure that that guaranteed income that they're getting also meets their RMD requirement. So,
Yeah.
that's another small strategy that we use. Does that eliminate your taxes? No, it doesn't. But
Right.
over time, eliminating and reducing taxes it takes time. I tell people all the time, like, the first step in the process is just get your assets transferred over here. And then we're going to go step one, step two, and step three.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through it methodically, and we're going to make sure that it all works for you. And I'm going to explain everything to you every bit of the way. But you just can't do it all at once. There's just not enough time in
Yeah.
the day to do it. And so we walked them through that whole process, and they really enjoy the fact that when I say, well, if we do it using this tax strategy, okay, you're going to reduce your tax bill over the long haul by X%. And they're like, oh, I like that idea a lot. And I'm like, if you could just reduce your tax liability by 5% a year, wouldn't that be great? And they're like, yeah. I said, well,
Yep.
let me show you how we do that. So there's a lot
Yep.
of different ways to do that, Mike. You're right. It's very elaborative, and there's a lot of different avenues to take. But we
And you
love
can't
sharing
do,
with our
like, to your
clients.
point, you can't do it all at once. You can't eat an elephant in one bite. And if you
Yeah.
hear the word Roth conversion, it's like, okay, I want to convert my whole, IRA or 401k. Well, you shouldn't probably do it all in one whack, because you're going to trigger too much taxes too soon. So it's all got to be methodical. But I think that, isn't it true that some people have the false assumption that, oh, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I retire? That may or may not be the case, but because frankly, we don't know what brackets are going to move, change, and all that. And probably taxes, the tax rates could probably go up in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Nobody knows that, but we do know that that deficit is a driver to taxes. So talk a little bit about how you help your clients prepare for that mindset of, yeah, you can put the pencil and the software to their deal, but people need to realize the old wives' tale of, oh, I'll be in a lower tax bracket may not be accurate.
Yeah. So let me respond with one word or two words. No surprises.
Yeah.
I tell our staff, I remind myself every day that I was a client and I got surprised, and I didn't like surprises. I never want anybody to have unrealistic expectations, and I don't want them to have any surprises. When we run illustrations that go to age 100, 105, 110, whatever it is, to show how their whole portfolio is stress test and how it lasts over time, I always include in those illustrations about a true not 10% on top of the current tax rate, but if you're in the 24% tax bracket, let's say in 5 more years, that tax bracket, that would go move up to 34%, right? Or
Yeah.
if you're in the 37% tax bracket, we're going to move it up to 47% and we're going to stress test your portfolio. And then we're going to go up again in about 10 to 15 more years, another 10% or another, 10 percentage points, 10 basis points. We're going to add that and then we're going to recalculate it there. And if your portfolio can handle that stress test and it still shows that you've made all the money that you need, even in spite of increasing taxes, you got to feel really good about that. So,
Because then
so
if those
how do we,
expectations don't happen where you need the higher numbers and they kind of settle in less than that, then you're ahead of the game.
yeah, I mean, we want to under promise. Okay. We want
Yeah.
to under promise and we want to over deliver. I mean, that
Yeah.
we talk about that all the time in here. I have quotes all over our offices, right? And I love quotes. And one of them is under promise, over deliver. That's what we
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
serving people. You mentioned it earlier, you know, being a servant is such a we don't see it a lot now, but true, servanthood is
Yeah.
so important. To think of other people's needs before your own is crucial. And I can tell you, Mike, in our industry, I have found that there's not a lot of servanthood. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I enjoy most about what we do. I know our hearts in this place. I know what our desire is, and it is pure and it's authentic. It is to serve our clients, to meet their needs in any capacity that they
Yeah.
need or that we can help them with.
And when that's executed well, that provides the right recommendation where everyone's happy, they understand it, and that provides that kind of safety and security. And like you've mentioned a couple times, there's some opportunities for, no losses and guarantees and all that. Talk a little bit about the peace of mind that that gives your clients regarding closing that gap from what they need in retirement and where they are now. And what does that do? Because I'm almost envisioning someone getting their quarterly portfolio statement in the mail, open it up with the pit in their stomach. But now, after you've dialed in and you've put together the plan, now they're opening it up, going, "Yep, we're good to go."
Yeah, no matter whether or not your current portfolio at Schwab is down or not, you know that you have a peace of mind because you have some guaranteed income components in your portfolio so that your lifestyle is not going to change. The
Yeah,
only thing that might change and affect that is what we just talked about, is taxes. So
yeah,
that's why we try to take a very conservative approach, put enough money into these strategies to cover those needs should
right.
we have to. But we also want to do conversions beforehand if we can. But we definitely want to make sure that our clients' basic living needs are always met. And we do that
Yeah.
through multiple strategies that work really, really well and give our clients a peace of mind.
Well, it's kind of like what you alluded to. If you've got a certain percentage of, in that guarantee, and that's covering your monthly expenses, and then if there's a little bit in some, volatility, and there either some up and down, that's not going to keep you from paying the light bill or putting food on the table. It might just mean you can't take that third vacation. So I think having that same approach, it really does help that peace of mind, so that people can wake up and know that I can do what I want to do today, knowing that everything is dialed in.
Well, I think it's the balancing act, Mike.
Yeah.
And that's for us to help our clients with because they don't know sometimes what feels comfortable and how to balance it. Whereas
Yeah.
we've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
we kind of have an idea of what their balancing should be, how much money should be protected, how much money should be guaranteed income, how much money should be in the marketplace. If it's in the marketplace, what it should be in, what their different comfort levels are and their risk tolerances and factors and all that stuff that we talk about. So it is definitely it's not an exact science, but you have to be able to be nimble. You have to
Yeah.
be able to adjust. And that's exactly what we do with our clients throughout their whole lives. We want to
Yep.
be able to, as they have those life changes, we want to be nimble enough and effective enough and have enough tools, right? We don't, we're not just a
Options.
carpenter that has a hammer and a
Yeah.
screwdriver. We're a carpenter that has absolutely every financial tool that you could imagine. So we
Yeah.
want to utilize those to best benefit our clients. Absolutely.
Love it. Well, when that is done, that gives that full holistic approach, bringing the team in, making sure everyone understands, is on the same page. And if someone is interested in having that second look, maybe at their portfolio and understanding what they could be up against from a positive sense, bringing that whole family office approach, what's the best way they can reach out and connect with you, Randy?
Yeah, we love to help people, and that's why we do what we do, really. I mean, we do it to help people that don't know where to get this level of authenticity, transparency, and just really real relationships. And if you don't want any of that, that's fine. You don't have to pick up the phone. But if you do, our phone number is 800-988-7855. That's 800-988-7855. If you call, you will be serviced to the gills, because that's what we do. From the time we answer the phone to the time you walk in the door, the time you get on a Zoom call, we want to make sure that we listen really closely to what you want, and we try to give you everything that you ask for. And we will do it within reason. And so another way to reach out to us and just learn more about us is go to our website, which is www.huxcapitalmanagement.com. That's Hux, Hux, capital with an AL, management.com, huxcapitalmanagement.com. You can kind of sniff around there. You can learn a little bit about our company and what we do and our philosophies, which are very similar to what I'm telling you today.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy. Really appreciate you coming back on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Always do. Thank you, Mike.